Welcome back to Tech Coach Corner, a YouTube series presented by Dyknow. I'm Tiara Lustig, I'm on the marketing team at Dyknow, and I will be your host today. Today we have a great episode with Chris Woods on what STEM really is and how to integrate STEM into every K-12 classroom. Before we get started, I just want to remind you all to subscribe to Dyknow's YouTube channel so that you're getting notified when we post new Tech Coach Corner episodes, as well as all of our event recordings and podcast episodes dropping on the YouTube channel. I'd also love if everyone could comment on this video what areas of STEM you're using in your classroom or how you're implementing STEM in your classroom so that we can get a feel for what everyone's comfort level and use of STEM is, both in a remote learning environment and in the in-person classroom. So without further ado, we'll jump into the episode. Welcome back to Tech Coach Corner, everyone. I'm Tiara Lustig, your host, and today I'm joined by Chris Woods. Chris, do you want to give a quick introduction to yourself before we get started?
Yeah, thanks for having me on here, Tiara. I'm a high school math teacher, and I can do STEM and science and all those kinds of things too. I'm a big fan of really trying to find ways to connect STEM with that relevant, that real world stuff into every classroom so that every kid gets to experience that every day, and just trying to share ideas for educators out there in all the virtual world.
Yeah, we love the DailySTEM here at Dyknow. We did a podcast episode with you a little while back, and I know you talked a lot about STEM and how to integrate STEM in students' daily lives and into every kind of lesson that teachers are doing. Can you talk a little bit about STEM? I know it's become kind of a buzzword in education, but I'd love you to dive into what it really means, how teachers should think about it, and maybe what has changed thinking about STEM with this time of remote learning?
Yeah, those are great questions, Tiara, because I think as STEM, began, of course it was the acronym, and every educator starts noticing STEM on tools and things that they can order for their classroom, or different posters and devices and books and all those types of things. And so you start to get to that level and you say, okay, I know that STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And most teachers are going to feel comfortable with one aspect. Maybe they're going to feel more comfortable with the sciencey part, or just using some technology in their classroom. But really to have a good grasp on STEM so that kids get that full picture, we really need to try to figure out ways that we can kind of try to incorporate all those different aspects of it, and not just in a vacuum, not just in silo, as educators often talk about. We want to be able to say, yes, this is science, or this is technology or engineering, but it relates to everything else we're doing in the classroom each day. And I think that's the whole next step that a lot of educators are starting to get to. They're starting to realize that I can't just have STEM as a standalone thing. I can't just say, okay, kids, now it's time for STEM, and now we put all our STEM away when we're done. It has to be relevant. And I think that's the biggest thing about what STEM is, that it's this relevant connection of lessons and curriculum to the everyday life that's right out there, right outside that window, right outside that door, right outside that classroom. And then I think also as we move forward with STEM, I think there's going to be a lot more connections between STEM and careers. We can talk about and see all those great statistics about, this many % of jobs that kids are going to do someday haven't even been created yet, or this many % of jobs involve STEM. Well, guess what? There are already people doing incredible, amazing jobs that include STEM all the time. I mean, you and I, even though we're educators and digital marketers and marketing types things, we're using STEM to help share our message and the things that we're doing for our businesses, our companies, our industries, whatever. And so as we start to say, okay, kids, we're learning about STEM today, but let's talk about how are people using it in the real world? What are the types of careers that are starting to add those STEM pieces? Because it's part of everything now. I mean, you can't be a mechanic, you can't be a farmer, you can't be a fashion designer without knowing STEM. And there's parts of it that we can share with our kids each and every day. So for me, that's the really exciting part as teachers start to move past that first level of I know what STEM is, that second level of now I'm starting to add it to kind of everything in my classroom, to that third step of let's show kids how it's used out there in the real world.
Definitely. I think too, STEM can sound, for teachers who aren't super familiar with it, it can sound pretty intimidating at first,
Yeah.
thinking about how to integrate STEM. Could you share maybe an example for how teachers could begin to integrate STEM into their classroom that might not be a specific STEM classroom or STEM lab?
Right. So a simple thing that I do in my classroom each and every day is I'll show my students a video, I'll show them a picture, I'll show them just something, maybe a puzzle, just something to get their interest, their idea sparked. I mean, basically, like think of it as you scrolling through your Facebook or Twitter or Instagram feed, and yeah, you'll scroll past lots of things, but you'll catch something. Something will spark your interest. And that's what we really want to do and can do very simply with our kids each and every day. We could show them a short 2-minute video that we happen to see on YouTube, or that was maybe in our Facebook feed or our Twitter feed, and just show kids, hey, this is something that people are doing. But don't just stop after you show them the video. Say, all right, now you saw that. What are the problems? How could you make it better? Is this actually a practical idea? Because or think of the things that you see on Kickstarter. People coming out with all their new ideas now. Is that idea really practical, or is it just somebody's, kind of weird-ish idea? Have they thought through all those things? And getting kids to start to think critically, that doesn't take any resources. That doesn't take any outlay of money or anything. But you could also do simple things like just have a pile of Legos or some other types of building block on the kids' desks when they come in, and say, how many different ways can you build something? How could you build something that a hospital could use? How could you, and just giving them those wide open opportunities, to me, are just those simple things. Just saying, what materials do I have? What's in my classroom? What could we use?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the resourcefulness, the creativity, and the critical thinking. It kind of brings all of that together.
Yeah.
Chris, I know we've worked with you on the Tackling Tech podcast before, but I would love for you to let people know where they can find you and learn more about STEM, because you have a great STEM community in PLN that you've created.
I appreciate that, Tiara. Yeah, definitely people can head to dailystem.com. Just dailystem.com, and you can find resources. You can find printable things. You can send them home digitally, especially to your kids, and that's another aspect, to families, to get more kids doing STEM at home instead of just when they're in our classroom. Engaging those parents on a level that maybe they don't feel comfortable with doing, because STEM isn't just rocket science and brain surgery. But I have plenty of resources on dailystem.com. If you're an educator and you want to hear more great ideas, I do the STEM Everyday podcast and interview different educators that are doing all sorts of interesting things in their classroom, just real practical ideas, advice, quick, short podcast to be able to listen to on your way to or from work, or while you're raking leaves in the yard or something. And then I'm on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and especially on Twitter, just at DailySTEM, and you'll find me. And I'm always sharing ideas and trying to help educators see that it's not just complicated stuff. You don't have to have a 3D printer to do STEM with your kids. You don't have to have expensive robots to do STEM with your kids.
Definitely. And we will link all of that below so that people can engage with you there and get all those great resources. So everyone go check out Chris on all of his channels. Thank you so much, Chris, for being with us today to talk about STEM.
Hey, no problem. Keep up the good work there at Dyknow.